Hello guys. So I'm quite excited to start a new project, and this project will be quite huge because here we are going to do extensive EDA feature engineering. Along with that, we are going to train this entire data set with three different models, that is linear regression, that is simple multiple linear regression. Then you will also be having ridge, lasso and elastic net regression. So for this problem statement, the data set that we are going to take is something called as Algerian forest fires data set. So the data set looks something like this. And here you have this data set for two regions. One, we have it for Bijaya regions data set. So, and the second one that we specifically have for this is CD Bell Abyss region data set. Now we are going to combine this particular data set. For classification problem, you can take classes as the output feature. But for the regression problem, we are going to take FWI as my dependent feature, and remaining all will be my independent features, right? So let's go ahead and let's see what all this information will be there in the data set. Again, the steps that I'm going to repeat: first, we are going to do EDA, then we'll do feature engineering, then we'll clean the data, and then finally we'll be applying our model. We'll also be doing, or we'll train our new models, and then we'll also do hyperparameter tuning for all this particular data sets. Okay, so here is the basic information about the data set. Algerian forest fire data set. So this data set includes 244 instances that regroups a data of two regions of Algeria, namely the Bajai region located in the northeast of Algeria and Sidi Bel Abbas region located in the northwest. The period is from June 2012 to September 2012. The dataset includes 11 attributes and one attribute as class, output attribute as class, but we can also take other attributes as our dependent feature. The 244 instances has been classified into fire and non-fire classes also. So you can use also this particular data set for the classification problem. Now these are all the data set information. I have date, temperature, okay, in Celsius degree. RH means relative humidity. WS basically means wind speed. Rain, that is total day in mm, 0 to 16.8. So here you can also see ranges are also given, right? FFMC basically means fine fuel moisture code. That is indexed from the FWI system. You also have DUF moisture code indexed from the FWI system, drought code. Okay. Again, some parameters, some values it will be ranging. So these all things will be able to identify what exactly should be your fire weather index, or the classes, whether fire is going to happen or not fire. So all these features are basically there. These are the attributes. Okay. Now the first thing that we'll do is that once we read this data set, right, we obviously have two regions, right? And this is in the form of CSV file. Let's see after reading this particular data set how it looks like. Okay. So first of all, as usual, first we'll focus on doing EDA. So obviously we really need to import a lot of libraries, including pandas, numpy and matplotlib. Okay. So first of all, I'm creating some cells, and let's go ahead and let's start the process. Okay. So first of all, as usual, I will say import pandas as PD. Okay. Import numpy as NP. Import matplotlib.pyplot as plt, and then we're also going to use cborn. So cborn is basically used for plotting the data sets, and then here you can see matplotlib inline, right? And finally, let's go ahead and execute this quickly. So these are all the libraries that I'm actually going to use. Now the first step is basically to read the entire data set. Let's go ahead and use pandas for this. So here I'm going to use pd.read_csv, and here the data set is in the same folder location. So if you search for Algerian forest fire dataset_update.csv, here you'll be able to see it. Now if I execute it, this is how your data set looks like, right? And here you can find out Bijaya region dataset. I know there are two regions. One is Bijaya region, and the other one also you'll be able to find it over here. So this will be the CD Bell Abyss region dataset. So what we are going to do, we are going to merge both the dataset. Now in order to merge, I will first of all use header is equal to 1, so that the first one, it will get ignored. So here you'll be able to see all the features it will be taking up, right? If I don't use this, what it is going to do, whatever data set that you have over here, right? Whatever is there in the header over here, it will be considering this particular features as your attributes, right? So I'm going to remove this, that is header, and take my first header as the first row of the data set. So definitely with the help of this, whatever information I have over here, it will be our data set. But again, we have some of the features over here, and I have to remove this and this features also, and probably combine both this particular data set together. Okay, so fine, let's go ahead and store this in our data set. Okay, so this is our data set. If you probably want to see the head of this data set, here you'll be able to see the head also. Okay, so till here it is very simple, very clear. I hope you're able to understand whatever information that we have done. It's very simple. Okay, now let's do one important thing before we go ahead. Let's see some of the basic information, right? Like initially you really need to see some of the information regarding the dataset, what the dataset looks like and all. Okay, and as usual, here you can basically write dataset dot info, right? If you just write info here, you'll be able to see, okay, all of them are objects, right? So you have to make sure that this should not only be in objects. If there is any numerical values, floating values, you have to convert into new integers or floats. Okay, so I'll start the data cleaning process now. So here I'm just going to write data cleaning, make it as markdown, and start the process. Now, first of all, in the data cleaning, we have to check our missing values, if there are any specific missing values. Now, obviously, over here, you'll be able to see some missing values. So if I write dot is null, dot sum, right? Here you'll be able to see, okay, one rows data set is missing. In classes also 2 rows are specifically missing. Not a problem. What I'm actually going to do, if I also, instead of writing is sum, if I write dot is any or dot any also, and make sure that if I write axis is equal to 1, so that basically means I'm just trying to find out in any columns, right, if there is any null values, right? So obviously here you will be seeing that false, false, false or true. Wherever there is a missing value, it will be true, but obviously I cannot see all the records. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to only retrieve those records which are true. So all I have to do is just write data set like this and use this braces over here, and here you'll be able to see it. So definitely it shows that, okay, this 2 rows are there which is having specifically null values, and obviously this, I think you have identified it already from where it is coming. It is basically coming from here, right? So it is basically null values, and somewhere not fire is actually mentioned, so that can be a non value. Okay, so guys, now let's go ahead and make a quick observation from this specific data set. Now, as you've seen already in this dataset, the dataset is actually divided into 2 regions. One is Bejaya region and the other region is Bell Abyss region dataset. Now, here you can actually see the index till 122, all the dataset that is present, it is from the Bejaya region, right? From this specific region that you can see, Bejaya region, right? And then after that, whatever dataset is actually present, it is for the Bell Abyss region dataset. So we are going to quickly make some observation, and we are going to divide this dataset into 2 groups. So the dataset is converted into 2 sets based on region from 122 index. We can make a new column based on the region, that is Bejaya region dataset and Bell Abyss region dataset. So what we are going to do is that add a new column and try to represent this particular dataset over there, right? What we can do is that we can create a new column, and there we can assign labels. We can say that Bejaya region dataset will have a label as 0. Bell Abyss region dataset will have a label as 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and execute it. And what I'm actually going to do, as I already know the index 122, all I have to do is that I'll be using df.lock, lock operation. And here till 122 index, I'm going to create a column that is called as region. And for that, wherever region, so for all the records before 122, all I have to do is that assign a label 0. And here you'll be able to see that if I write df.loc, and here I will say from 122 onwards, any records that is actually present, use a region as 1, right? And once I execute this, let's see, okay, the df is dataset. It's a practice, right? We try to use df a lot. So what I'll do is I'll just make sure that I will just say df is equal to dataset. Just assign it over here, guys, so that later on I don't make a mistake. Okay, so here it is. Perfect, right? So now if I probably see df.info and try to execute it, here one value of region will be float, right? So I don't want to save much memory for float values. So all I'll do is that I'll write df of region. Okay, and I'll try to convert this into entire int type so that it looks good, because one and zeros I don't need to save it as floating value. So as type I'm just going to say int. Okay, uh int okay, perfect. And now if I probably write df dot head, you'll be able to see all the values, and here region will be zeros and ones. Okay, now let's go ahead and quickly execute the same thing and try to find out what is the null values or not, where it is basically present, and we'll try to remove that null. Okay, dot sum. I'm also making sure that I write all these comments wherever I need to provide you some kind of observation of what we are actually doing. Okay, and right now here you can see obviously there will be two nulls. So what I'm actually going to do is that and already we know that what are index null are there, 122 and 167. Okay, so I'm going to directly remove this 122 row because I don't require it. So let's quickly go and drop it. So now here, if one record is there, I think not a problem. Remove the null values, and all I have to do in order to remove the null values or nan values is that I can just directly use df.drop na, right? Something like that. So here I'm actually going to say df.drop na. Okay, and see, if once I just drop it, here you'll be able to see all the records will get dropped. But along with this, right, along with this, what I have to actually do is that I'll also make sure that I reset the index, because one important thing from this particular data set is that whenever you see this specific indexes, right, once you reset, right, that will actually create a gap, and we have to make sure that all this index also get reset. So after dropping the index, I will just update this in df and probably see df.head. And if I also want, I can also print, or just let me execute till here. So now if I probably see df.head, you will be able to see all the values, and obviously we have done the reset. Along with this, if I really want to check if there is any null values, I can also do that. So dot sum, I think now we will be getting all the values as 0 because we don't obviously have any null values. Okay, and here we can also check out from those specific things like whether that 1 or 2 has got updated from which all index. So if I write 122 index, here you'll be able to see that my value is basically 1. And before all these things, and again this particular column, right, here you can also see from where it came, right? And we have to also remove this because this is the column that it is basically coming, right? So I'm going to also make sure that we drop this particular row, right? This row, because that row is again a repeated row because it is the same column name over here, right? Only the region values is specifically them. So what I'm actually going to do, we're going to just drop it again, df.drop, and we're going to drop the 120th row, and again I have to go to do the reset index, and then again write drop is equal to 2. Same thing that what we did to remove one index over there also. And this I'm going to save it as df. So here, what is the observation? I'm going to just remove the 122nd row, right? And here, done. Now if I probably go and see df of dot ilock of 122nd, you'll be able to see this entire values. Right now it is perfect. So we have done this, we have done it in an amazing way. We have made sure that all the updates are actually happened, and this is good. We are in the right stage of feature engineering, and we have cleaned some values over here also. Okay, now let me do one thing. Okay, one super important thing is that if I probably write df dot columns, right, here you'll be able to see some names of the columns, right, has some extra spaces. This is all why I'm showing you all these things, because additional thing you really need to know, right? When we say eda, it may be that you really need to rename the column, you need to do something, you need to make sure that you write the column name in a proper way, something, right? And That is the reason why I'm saying it is not necessary that, okay, for this you have to do something. But here I'm just trying to show you, because tomorrow if you get a situation, if somebody says, okay, make sure that you don't have any spaces in the column name, then how do you do that? Okay. So let's go ahead and let's fix the spaces in the column name. So here I'm going to write fix spaces and column names, right? And all this comments, whatever I'm writing, it is just to make sure that you learn it in a better way. Okay, that's it. So here, first of all, if I write df.columns, here you'll be able to see this. Now all I have to do is write df.columns. Okay, dot str dot strip. When I write dot strip, that basically means it is just going to find out the white spaces and it is going to update. Now if I probably see df.columns, here you can see that classes white space is gone, everything white space is also gone. Okay. Now, when I just search for df.info, here you'll be able to see that I'm seeing all object type. But obviously, it is very much clear if you probably see the data set, right? From temperature to all the values till FWI, right? And region is already numerical values. This should be numerical or float values, right? So what we are going to do is that we are going to change the data set. First of all, we are going to take up which all values needs to be integer, and then we are going to see which all values are going to be float. Okay. So first of all, let's go ahead and say, write down a comment which will be like change the required columns as integer data type, right? Data type. Perfect. I'm just going to make it this as a markdown and make sure that use some more. Okay, so that it looks good. All I have to do is that I will be considering which all columns: month, year, temperature, RH, WS, rain as integer, right? So till rain, I think not rain, rain is also floating, but till WS, I can consider all these are integer values. Okay. So in order to do that, all I have to do is that use df and start writing my column names, right? Start writing my column names. So first is month. Okay. Month. Second is day. Third is year, right? Fourth is temperature, which is in capital letter, and RH. If you don't want to do this, just go over here, write df.columns and copy paste. You can also do that. I'm just trying to show you by writing multiple columns. It's just not to make things bigger for you, right? So till WS, I can just directly copy it. And here will basically be my WS, right? So all these things, I'm just going to write equal to, with respect to all these columns, dot as type. If you write as type and then if you probably write integer, that's it. It has got executed. Now all I have to do is that write df.info. You'll be able to see the updates. So here you can see all are becoming integer type. That is in 32. It can also be in 64. It depends on the system that you're using, the processor that you're having, how it basically assigns an integer value. Then comes the other feature, that is rain, FFMC, DMC, DC, ISI, BUI, FY, FWI, right? These all should be floating. But now what we are going to do is that we are just going to write something like this. I'll write a generic thing, right? So I'll say changing the other columns to float data type, right? Now here, I will just write a common way, right? And the common way will be something like this. And again, this will, you should always try to find out a generic way to write the code. Otherwise, you'll definitely have many features when you're working in a real world problem statement. So here I will say features for, or I'll say feature for features in df dot columns. Okay. If df of features, I'm saying that if does not, if this data types is equal to O basically means object. Okay. So here, if I probably execute this, okay, this is an invalid syntax. I'll probably put this into list comprehension. For feature in features, let's see, for features, okay, I have to use features. So here you can see for features in df.columns, and I'm actually referring this feature over here. It is showing over here. And this shows that which all data types have basically O as an object class. O basically means object class, okay? Other than that, here you can see region is having an integer, so it did not pick up, right? So for all these objects, what I'm actually going to do, which is these features are all in object type, right? So I'm going to just execute this, and let's say I will write for I in objects, okay? If I say, see, if I does not belong to classes, okay, then all I have to do is that I have to say that is df of I will convert this df of I dot as type as float, right? So in short, what it will do, see, because see, once I execute this, right? Now, if I probably just try to write df dot info, now see one very amazing thing we will be able to see. All have got converted into int32, 32, 32, float, float, float. Now here you can see classes did not get changed. Why classes did not get changed? Because when I was iterating through these objects, what is this objects now? Let's see. What is this objects? This objects is basically, this is the classes, right? So here I've given a condition where this particular feature is not there. You just skip that and convert all this particular value into float. Okay. So it has just skipped classes column, which is my output feature, let's say. And this needs to be an object because this is a categorical feature. Okay. It is not an integer feature, numerical feature, because later on we'll try to convert this by assigning labels. Region is kept as int32. Okay. So skipping this particular column, I have made sure that I have assigned everything as float. Okay. So this is what we have actually done in this specific step. Finally, you can also use df.describe to see some more information after we do the cleaning process, right? So here you can see we have done some amount of EDA feature engineering cleaning process. So finally you can see df.head, and this is your entire data set, right? So in short, we have done some amount of EDA feature engineering and all the other things. Now, as we go ahead, what we are actually going to do, we are going to do some more advanced EDA part, but here some basic EDA and feature engineering has completed. So yes, in the next video, we will continue and we'll do some advanced EDA and we'll do the next steps. Okay. So yes, I will see you all in the next video. Thank you.